Surrounded by. I am surrounded by.
I'm often surrounded by.
The entire system is surrounded by
Freaking idiots.
Surrounded by them.
idiots.
Man, I gotta tell you, man, he was, I'm at the point in my life where, I've been fortunate enough to interact with some interesting people over the years, and it's always been about character for me, when I was younger, success probably, or, had more, I was impressed more by it,
Right.
But as you get older, it's like, look, man, I met a lot of successful people that aren't people I want to be like, and AI, I got to say, man, we only got to spend a little bit of time together, mostly at this sort of, it was an after party for a dinner, to celebrate a friend of ours, like I said, that had passed, and Raul, rest in peace, brother. Miss you, man. So anyway, I got to hang with Alan a little bit, man, and just we got into some real conversation.
Yeah.
Quickly, it was a big day, and I had spoken at the funeral, and he was, we just got into talking about life shit, and I was really impressed with his character, which, I said, as you get older, and I mean, always, not even when I get older, I gotta say, character was always paramount for me in terms of people I wanted to spend time with or were moved by, but
I feel like you notice more things as you've met more successful people. You start to correlate things
more
like
people in general,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's just like anybody that's in my life nowadays, if your character is not in order, at least according to the way I want to live my life, it's very hard to make time for people, man.
Listen,
it's very hard to make time
preaching
for
to the
people.
choir,
Yeah,
man.
You get it, man.
Because I also feel like it's one of those things. If you can't just, even when I do these interviews, like if you can't just pop in, have a genuine conversation with somebody and it doesn't feel forced, or if it feels like there's always an angle, it's sometimes it's like, why can't we just, you can pull it closer, it's like, why can't,
well, there's just a lot of people that aren't living in that space. We were talking before we sat down just about people that are singularly focused and accomplish remarkable things in a lifetime, and the things they accomplish are extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And these are really interesting people on most of the time, not always, some of them are very well rounded, but most of them are interesting on a certain level, and beyond that they're not very interesting, and they don't give much thought to to other aspects of life.
Man, it's weird though, because I think anybody who's creative, it seems like, has that. Like they have to do the work to make sure that they are fulfilling in each place. Because you have a Michael Jordan. Yeah, that's what I mean. You have a Michael Jordan. You have a Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos type. You have just naming the epitome of successful people. But then it's like, well, yeah, they're so great at that one thing. It feels like sometimes it just takes away.
Well, and it's no fault of their own, really, in a way. I mean, I guess to some degree it is. Like, we're all responsible for the people we decide to become. But it's very difficult to be that prolific in one thing without dedicating every piece of yourself to that, And I think that's
to that one thing.
To that one thing. You have to be singularly focused. So all of these other wonderful things about life are hard to experience because in your mind you're like, if I let go of this path and start getting, which you can get sidetracked very
distracted
easily.
very
Come on,
easily.
man, like whether it's there are a lot of things that can steal your attention away from something if you're not.
The ladies are number one usually.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. That's what
getting
happens.
caught up in that early on took my focus away from other things that I at that time believed were meaningful to me. But you start realizing like, oh, maybe they weren't.
Right.
Maybe they weren't. And then the journey becomes about, all right, how do I let go of that then? Because that might have been part of my identity at one time. And you kind of hold on to the fact that like, I want to be a baseball player. I want to do whatever I want to do. And then you realize when you face, whether it's distractions or challenges that arise, right? It's like one of those two things is going to test how focused you are on that other thing that you say you wanted,
That's
and
facts.
And I think that's a good thing, man, because when you do find the thing, hopefully, everybody does find that for themselves. Like when you do find the thing, that's how you know it's the thing, is that you're willing to put all of those other things aside to focus on it, but
that's true. That's passion.
yeah, that's
That's
passion.
what you're
That's
passionate about.
happiness,
Facts.
and then look, what you got to hope to be doing beyond that is continuing to find the balance. Like, obviously you take your time, you get prolific at that thing that you want to focus on, but then eventually you go, oh, wait a minute, there's so much more to life.
Right.
Let me get it. What is it to do this? What is it to do that? Let me experience this. Oh, wow. How does that affect? And I think that's, just circling back to what you were saying in terms of being artistic and creative, and, that hopefully that's what the best of the artists are focusing on, is that whole of the experience, and how they can participate in bringing as many aspects of that together as they possibly can, human interest, nature, art, the things that are beyond us,
because they all work hand in hand.
That is the art, you know what I'm saying? It's the art of life, like of painting a picture of what life, the whole of it could be about. And and it's a special thing when you come across people that have experienced, let's say, the kind of success that we're talking about with AI, and they have a grasp on that bigger concept as well. Like, those are the people that if I get to spend time with people like that, that have had that experience on the highest high, but also understand what's really important about living, the human experience. Those people, those are special when you get around them.
No, for sure. Because it seems like a lot of money either makes you appreciate that, or you completely don't give a shit. It's like it doesn't seem like there's too many people in the gray area. It's either you make a lot of money and then you realize, like, okay, whoa, there's more to this than like this money game, or you're like, nope, run it up, fuck what they got going on over there. It's just a weird, Or
no, there is.
You have the money, you have a dip, and the dip makes you appreciate.
There it is.
And that's part of the journey.
What are you learning along the way is what it's about, and like, you can learn while you're at the top, but it's sometimes harder because, you got a lot of people around you, and even yourself included, that are willing to not have to look at the things that make you better if you feel like you're already as good as you're ever going to be.
And a lot of yes men.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, you gotta constantly be, you got to do whatever the fuck you got to do. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. But like, what I believe you have to do, what I'm trying to do constantly is, where can I be better? How can I be better as a husband, as a father, as an artist, as as a neighbor, as a just somebody fucking walking through this thing, and going like, damn, you know what? Even if I make a mistake, am I willing to give that thought? Could I have done that better? Was that my fault? Okay, shit.
How could this have gone better?
Man, I could have done that better. And let me go back. And try and, correct what I did wrong. Acknowledge it, first to myself. And then hopefully I have a chance to acknowledge that to whoever I did wrong toward, or whoever my wrongdoing might have affected. And I think that if you can do that, then you're constantly on the path to realizing new things. You know what I mean? But it's when you get stuck in that rut, like, man, fuck that. Like, everything I do is the best. Like, it doesn't matter what, then motherfuckers just got to deal with it. And you can live that life, man. You can live that life for a long time, and that's why I'm saying, like, when people are gifted, or achieve, however you want to look at it, this level of success, and then they go ahead and take the time to take that approach. Right. Man, I mean, those people are the people I wish were out, really running things in the ways that we need them to.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. It's even what you're mentioning. It just sounds like stark accountability, and it's but I like that. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, one of the number one things for solid people in my life is just accountability. You won't be right every time. That's okay. As long as hey, didn't get them this time, I'll get them on the next one. Or, hey, I made a mistake here. Yeah. Let me fix that. But a lot of times it's, people don't want to look inward. And it's because it's scary, it's scary.
Sure, nobody wants to, it sucks being wrong.
You know
what I'm saying? Nobody's happy that they were wrong. You want to be right, no matter what it is. But it's like, convincing yourself you're right and then feeling like you're open to being wrong. You know what I'm saying? But you want to be right, but you're open to being wrong. Right. All right, I kind of just would rather do that, because otherwise it's like, one of the things that I remember hearing early on, I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Pacino. There was an actor that I remember being, that quoted one of the things that they loved the most about being an actor.
That camera's still running too, right? It's recording, right? Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, one of the things that they loved the most about being an actor was that they were never done learning. Like they and this was somebody that, when I was, even now, I mean, I look at them as like a master craftsman. Like that's a master of the craft. Saying that they don't ever want to know everything there is to know. And it's the truth, right? Like, because once you feel like you know everything there is to know, what's there to be curious about, man? What is there to be excited about in life if you feel like you know everything you need to know, you've been everywhere you need to be, you've tasted everything you ever need to taste, and so like, oh, so you're done? So this is it?
That's it, yeah.
So now what are you excited about? Like, a bigger bank account, or, more power? Haven't you experienced enough of whatever those things are to feel like, okay, I know what that feels like? Not to say I like money just like the next guy, like,
It helps.
Yeah, and it's freedom.
Yeah, facts.
It's freedom, man. Freedom on a lot of levels, freedom to free up your time on some levels if you're taking advantage of that. Yeah. Free up your
better
fear of anybody being able to snatch something from you.
Facts. True.
And that's why, we were talking about early on too. I remember early on somebody saying that money basically gives you a chance to be more of who you really are.
Yes.
Because once you don't feel beholden to anybody else's power, and you feel like, okay, well, look, no matter what, I got enough bread that if they were to take all of this away from me, whatever it is you got going on, you're still going to be good.
My day-to-day is not going to change.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do every day, no matter what.
Right.
And I'm going to be good. When you get to that place, on what level can you appreciate that, and on what level are you going to become a slave to it? You can, you can master it and go and enjoy your time and increase your breadth of knowledge and enjoyment of the world, or you can remain a slave to just a number in your bank account. Right. And it's a fine line. Like listen, I'm battling with that all the time.
Right. Yeah.
I'm battling with that all the time.
Yeah.
And then you add a family to the mix, and wanting to be able to sustain for them no matter what. So okay, especially if you come from a survivor mentality, where you're like, I gotta feel safe. I gotta be secure. I gotta know that shit is gonna be good no matter what. Yeah. And money has always with that, it's always, at least always in my mind, was what I thought was the key to it. And what I realized as I got older is one of the components. It's not necessarily the master key. Mindset is the master key to that. Right. Money is just a component of that that as you master your mind, you hopefully are able to understand, like, okay, I can create that. Right. I know how to create that. I have confidence in my ability to be able to go and create that. Now, on what level? Shit, depends on what the opportunities are. Depends on what you're going to hustle at. But like, getting to that moment of knowing that, like, okay, we're good. Now, what am I going to put my focus on? How am I going to grow this? In what way? And what are the parts of it that I want to grow? Is it the basket of wealth, or is it everything that could afford me but requires my focus on? Which for me, man, is all about my family. These kids in the world that I'm responsible for, imparting knowledge to and programming the ones and zeros in for, for however long I have them under my roof, and hopefully throughout the rest of their life if I'm doing it right. Like, once I always knew I wanted that, and when that came my way, like, I've never been more focused, more dedicated to any job ever, than that. And never got more pleasure,
Right. And that's
never more frustration, never more, giving more of myself, and had, less time to do the things that I also want to do. But like, You know, man, it's the greatest, man. It's the greatest.
No,
the best.
that's amazing, man. I mean, I feel the same way whenever I do have kids, because like my dad was that way. Like literally, once he had me, everything dropped, and it was like, all right,
That's
it's
beautiful, man.
it's him, it's maestro time, and it was, and yeah, amazing,
That's
and like,
beautiful.
and I just know the opportunities I've been afforded just because he did that, and you know, and there's so many people as we know, who just don't, you know,
opportunity and the foundation that leaves you
Mhm.
with. I mean, it's pretty hard to shake a foundation
Facts.
when you come from that kind of love and have had that kind of dedication and focus put upon you.
Mhm.
I think there are a couple of things. I mean, coming from some version of that, I wouldn't say that everything was dropped and dedicated in that way, to be fair, but the amount of love that was there was never in question.
right?
And the foundation that created for me, man, I mean, is everything. Absolutely everything. You know.
I mean, it's your springboard. It's how you view the world before you're ever in it.
Go jump as high as you can jump.
Right.
We're gonna catch you.
Facts.
Like, we're here. You know what I mean? And on whatever level that means, you know what I mean? Like whether that's
everything.
But you just know, like, there'll be people to break bread with, no matter
Right.
how big that piece of bread is. There will be people there to break bread with. Like, I'm not going to be, abandoned.
No, I always would say this, like, it was just like, even knowing the family I had and things, like, even when things aren't going, it's like, well, I know I'm not gonna go hungry.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not even in
No
my
one's
mind.
gonna let that happen.
No one's gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
But the risk that you're allowed to take when you know that, in comparison to someone who goes, oh no, I might if I go uptown
they're
and
walking
go,
that tightrope always. It's very hard for them to breathe.
Yes.
You know, and I feel for people like that. And I mean, some of the people I love most dearly in my life live their lives that way. You know, and it's one of those things where, yeah, man, that's one of my biggest hopes for people that are living in that space, which is like, yo, just
get a little bit more of that freedom.
Just breathe. You're incredible. You know how to fly. Like, it's gonna be all right. You have surpassed that moment. Because I mean, I felt that moment myself. You know, I hate to say it like this, but like, that's a better way to say it, because I'm gonna say it like gender specific, but it's not.
Right.
It's not specific to men. It's just, in my head, how I was raised, like,
I think
there was a certain kind of man that I wanted to be.
Right. Yeah.
But
even
I
just
should
your
generalize, just a
expectation
certain
of-
type of person, a certain
Yeah.
type of life, I imagine, and there was,
and society does put that
Yeah.
stigma on men.
For
So
sure,
that's another
for
thing why it's
sure.
like, I got to be a man. If I don't have no money in my pocket, I'm not a man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So these
like-
definitions of success, and I say by be a certain type of man, there was like credentials that went along with being that type of man, and
Right.
and financial security as just was the baseline.
That's the foundation.
That was the
of
baseline. And so, there's no doubt, man. I mean, getting to that point where I did feel a sense of financial security and a point where I had a career path that felt solidified. And I never take it for granted. You never know in this business, man.
Facts.
When your last job is gonna be.
I know.
Yeah, and just staying in that state of mind has been very helpful. But once I knew that, like, hey, look, man, even if work dries up and I got to figure out the next move, like, I got some breathing room.
Got a little cushion.
I got some breathing room, and that was, I would say, recognizing that, finally gave me that room to breathe and feel like, okay, I can breathe now. I could fully be, relaxed in
just show up, do
in
the
my
work,
day to day. That's it. Enjoy
yeah.
the work. Enjoy the other things that I maybe was not as focused on that I can be now. Which is great, man.
But that's listen. Well, how did your journey as an actor even begin? Because I was looking up, your IMDb starts in 97.
Yeah, that's right.
And they started you off as a cop. Man, it's
bro.
hilarious. I was like, oh, they love putting you in a uniform.
It was like, and I guess like that, it's funny, right? Because I guess it's just a personality thing where, like, look, there's a fine line. They're going to put you as a thug or as a cop.
Literally,
And I personally felt like, yeah, I can do both.
Facts.
Like,
yeah.
because they're not that different.
Facts.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a couple little.
It's a fine line.
Couple little,
Yeah.
you know, fine tunings that go on, but you know, we're talking a half step on a guitar string. We're not talking,
yeah.
you know, octaves.
Right.
You know, like, and so, yeah, that did, man. I started out as an extra. I started out doing extra work.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'll take it back even actually before that. I was always creative. I mean,
Right.
you know, I always enjoyed reading. Reading was my thing, man. I loved reading. I loved reading and spent a lot of time alone with my sister. As a kid, you know, my generation was like that, man. Like I'm the latchkey kid generation. So,
Right.
you know, I grew up late 70s, early 80s. You know, through the 80s, I would say.
What part of New
know,
York?
Originally from a town called, well, I was born in Yonkers.
Okay.
Lived in the Bronx, and then I moved upstate New York from Yonkers. And by upstate, I mean like there's a town called Nyack that everybody knows, which was right next to the town I was living in, which was called New City.
Okay.
And my parents didn't want me growing up in the Bronx. We moved up there, and as a kid, because of, you know, work situations for my parents, and my father moved to Boston for 4 years to go get a law degree.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He was trying to find himself, figure it out. He decided that he was going to pursue that, move to Boston. And, you know, during that time, there was like a 5-year window where I spent a lot of time, you know, enough that like the Bronx, I always felt comfortable there, you know, like there's a part of me that feels like it's home because I have so many. That was where, it's all my mother's family lived there, and everybody lived in like a 3-family house or the surrounding areas, you know. And so it was my grandmother on the top, my aunt in the middle, my grandmother's sister in the middle, my great aunt, and then my great grandmother lived on the bottom floor.
Okay.
And so, you know, there were at
generations,
times, probably
that's
20
amazing.
people living in that, you know, that little 3-story house.
Right.
And it was incredible. You know, I had cousins mostly older than me. I was like the older. I was in the middle.
Okay.
I wasn't like the older generation, and then there was a younger generation that came behind me, and I was right in that middle slot.
Wow.
Where I had times with the older generation and with the younger, and it was, you know, it was just a great place to be, man.
Probably a ton of wisdom in that house.
So much love, wisdom,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of not wisdom too, you know, but the wisdom came from being able to observe it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
The wisdom came from being able to observe the mistakes that were being made and repeated, you know, not just by other people, but by the same people over and over again, and other people. You know, you just saw patterns, man. You know, you just see like, hey, you know, A plus B gets you this.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Makes
like,
sense. Yeah.
Okay, shit, and you know, and
I won't do that.
And sort of the beginning of developing some level of humility and realizing that, like, you know, these people that I love, and you know, look up to on some level, like, they're all susceptible to making certain kinds of mistakes. So why wouldn't I be susceptible to, you know, if I'm not paying attention, yeah, I'm probably gonna make the same mistakes.
Right.
And you know, that was a great place to see it all, to see what kept family connected, you know, to be well taken care of in a place that, you know, I had great grandmother loving me, great aunt loving me, grandmother loving me, aunts and uncles and cousins, and you know, I mean, we were a big family on that side. I mean, you know, there was a lot of people stuffed in that house on the holidays, man. You know, you might have 100 people inside of that place, on, you know, on Thanksgiving or Christmas. Like, yeah, it was amazing. You know, people have all kinds of people, man. You know, all kinds of people, cops, street people, you know, but love. There was so much love there, man. And so that place is very, you know, it means so much to me. You know, as do all those people. I mean, the people do, you know, but
yeah. When do you think we lost it? Like, even how you were saying, just like, because even my parents talk about that. It's just like, both of my parents grew up in the projects.
Yeah.
But they were like, there was still a community within the project.
For sure.
So
man.
It was like,
that's my family, that's where they're from.
Yeah.
You know, projects. And like, there was still family, you know, there was a connection. I think on some level, when I really look at it, from a sociological point of view,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that moved to the projects, when the projects were built, people were migrating from other places to those projects, right? Because
Right.
you go live in the projects because you're, economically,
Yeah, you don't have it. You need help.
I don't want to say bottom because you've got a place to live, so you're not at the bottom. But economically, you are, working it out. You're beginning to build.
Right.
It's a place to start off from,
It's
not a
square
place
one.
to get stuck in. You know
There
what I'm
you
saying?
go.
And that
Yeah.
became the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that was by circumstance, some of it by design, or maybe mostly by design, and then allowing the circumstances to be what they
they
become,
will be.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think when you are building, community is easier to form because everybody's building.
Right.
And then once you're stabilized, then people go, it's like we're talking about with money. Once you're stable, you go be who you're really going to be.
Right.
So, or who you think you need to be, and so the people that get stable, they go to the places they think their life is taking them. And naturally those families, if love is not at the root and the work to keep that together is not done, shit unfortunately falls apart, and you see it, because I mean, look, me and my cousins keep up, probably not as well as we should. And I would like to get better. It's hard that, 3,000 miles apart.
Right.
But the love is there for all of my cousins, on all sides of my family. I mean, I have great relationships with them. We just don't get to spend a lot of time together. But I think that's just life at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I think that is where families tend to, start falling away from each other. And then look, then you start picking your friends, hopefully, and you pick friends that are, teaching their families and doing things the way you either want to be doing them or the way you are doing them, but definitely not the way you don't want to be doing them.
Because that's a whole other household with whole other issues.
Yeah,
and you never know,
man. So anyway, so I started out, man. I know. We were talking about me being a cop starting out. I forget how we got onto family. Oh, you asked maybe where I was from.
Where you were from? Yeah,
right. So I had. So let me circle back to that actually, because this relates to maybe that fine line between cop and criminal is going back and forth from the Bronx to New City. And now New City, where I live, is a proper suburb.
Okay.
I mean, I was like one of 5 kids of color in my school, probably. Like,
oh, wow.
Like,
okay.
Wow,
that's crazy.
So every day I was grilled with like, you got to be better than, you got to be smarter than, you got to be, you can't be getting in trouble and fucking around because you're not going to get treated the same way. First. You're going to be the one that's going to be the example. This man, I mean, these just rang in my ear for years.
Right.
And I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was necessary. I feel like some people might feel like, oh, wow, that's cruel. I actually, man, I'm very grateful for, for those lessons, because
you need them
you need them. You need to be aware, if for nothing else but for the awareness, because it's not untrue. You know what I'm saying?
As a minority, my mom would always say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna whoop you before the cops do, or before the world does.
Oh,
like
shit.
I rather control this because I know it's coming out of love.
A hold of you before I do. Yeah, like,
exactly.
If that's what we're talking about, like you better hope, and and I believed it, and had good reason to,
I feel you.
But yeah, I mean, and so that was ingrained, and in a way, look, it was great because it didn't necessarily make me do everything that my parents wanted me to do, but it made me aware. And I was like, okay, I see what this is. I see how all of this works. And what they're telling me is true. Right. Clearly, that is how it works. I feel the difference, at least often enough to know that it's true. I'm not saying I feel it in every single moment, but like
there's moments,
but there are enough of those moments that I know that this is not a lie. This is true. So okay, now I'm aware of this. Great. I know I do have to play the game that way, until I can figure it out for myself. And I think that circles back to even just getting to the point of feeling like financial stability and financial freedom, even to a certain extent, was part of being able to let go of a lot of that pressure.
Right. Yeah.
And fortunately, You know, I think everybody probably feels that. Then it just becomes a matter of how you want to handle the release of that pressure. You're going to revert back to your adolescent self, or are you going to, you know, are you going to stand strong in that realization, but also be the evolved person that you now have the power to be, and then the wherewithal, hopefully, to be.
And it's fun to go back to the adolescence, boy.
For a minute, yeah. But that's the question, right?
But that's the pressure,
you gotta find your moments. Now, if that's where you want to exist, well, you
That's
know,
different,
listen, man, you're gonna end up in some trouble. You know, I mean, you might get away with it for a while. There's a lot of people out there right now experiencing this.
Yeah.
You know,
but it ain't that consistent.
Coming home to roost, man. But they come.
It comes back.
You know, so. You know, that's where, like, yeah, you get an opportunity to be even better than you ever thought you could be, or you could just be what you thought you were gonna be. You know, and if your idea of who you want to be hasn't evolved with your experiences, then shit, man. Once you get there, I don't know, it might be fun for a little while, but it seems like a quick ride.
Yeah, and you only stay on. I also feel like when that's your thought process, you stay on one level of the ride.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you
like,
never.
Where's the growth? Like,
there's no growth.
Yeah, you got it. Congratulations, man. You did it. You're a billionaire.
Right.
You did it. What now? Well, I want to be a multi-billionaire. Okay.
Okay.
I guess that's cool. Like,
right.
What more are you gonna do, really? Like, now you got multi-billions. Cool. Okay. Right. Now what do you want to do?
And how's your life really changing from 2
like
billion to 3 billion?
What's the new experience is what I'm saying. Like, you know, like we're you know, and I mean, look, man, everybody's got their thing. I'm not here to judge it, but I'd like to understand. I'd like to try and understand what it is that keeps you excited about that.
I think like anything else though, that's an addiction. Like
I
making money, even like why people gamble, why they bet.
Agree.
Like
yeah.
it's just
and addictions are all the same thing, man. They're just a hole that needs to be filled and can't be filled with what these people are putting in it, whether it's money or drugs or power or whatever it is. It's like when you haven't come to fill that hole for yourself because you haven't taken the time to do the work and ask yourself, how could I be wrong? Where can I be more right?
Right.
By examining how wrong I can be. If you can't understand both sides of that equation, you know, how can you get anywhere? You know, you're stuck. You know, you're stuck, man.
And I feel like these are also things like the fact that you look at things this way and you're aware of these things definitely has to help in like performances.
Well, and I'm, you know, I keep getting back. We'll get there. Yeah,
because I know it has to.
Yeah, no, we're coming back to the roundabout now, which is that line between criminal and cop. Right. Mm-hmm. They're just people, man. Right. They're just people. They just fucking picked the side of what was either easiest or most exciting or felt the most rewarding in some way to them at some point. And whatever that decision was landed them on one side of that law or the other, you know? And
it's the same game.
Yeah, man. And on some levels, you could philosophically, you know, debate which side makes more sense, which side is more right or more wrong, you know? It's not absolute, you know?
Tons of gray areas.
It's not absolute, man, you know? And the ones that get that are probably the ones that are the best at each of their respective things.
Right. Well, it's also like whenever you see the shows or even like in real life, the person who thinks like a criminal, the cop who thinks like a criminal.
Sure. He's the one that's the badass cop.
Yeah, he gets it all because he sees the gray area in the other side.
He gets, man. Yeah, you're just dealing with people, man. You know, and so. Yeah, that experience of going back and forth between the Bronx and New City gave me a perspective that I'm really grateful for because it allowed me to really just see, man, there's just two types of people in the world. You know what I mean? There's people that are trying to move forward and evolve and grow and progress, and there's people that are stuck. You know, and then you got the occasional ones that are, you know, trying their hardest to go backwards, but, you know, stuck and backwards is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, basically.
You know? So, and that was really, you know, it was a great perspective to gain at whatever age that started to crystallize for me because I think it's one of the things that made me excited about being an actor. you know, was like trying to just like to realize like, hey, what I get an opportunity to do, no matter what the role is show a human being, and no matter what their circumstance is, show somebody that on some level has some dignity, has a desire to be better, whether they're going in the right direction or the wrong direction. Their motivation, you know, is relatable, you know, if not inspiring in some way, you know. And then obviously, look, man, you know, they could be a mess or whatever it is, but you know, enough to hook somebody into feeling like, damn, that could be me. Because how else can we learn anything if you can't at least try and imagine yourself in somebody else's shoes? You know what I mean? If you're operating from judgment all the time, well, then who the fuck do you think you are? Really? Your shit is that pristine? I fucking highly doubt it. In fact, the more you're judging, the more I know you're full of shit.
Facts.
You know? Yeah. And so, yeah, on some level, man, that was the thing that slowly started leading me toward the path of acting. I mean, what really led me down the road was I got injured. I loved playing baseball, loved playing sports. I played football, wrestled, baseball in high school. But I always wrote. You know, my creative side would come out in ways that I wasn't raised in a house where creativity was fostered. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing that it wasn't, you know, I wasn't shielded from it or prevented from being creative, but it wasn't something that was readily, you know, encouraged or supported.
Because it's not
in a
tangible.
Way. It wasn't, yeah.
It's
and
hard
so, you know, and to be fair, you know, I showed interest in music, but I wasn't pushing for these things. You know what I mean? And, you know, and when I was given an opportunity, which I was a couple of times, I took guitar lessons a couple of times. And this was on me. This was one of the lessons that I really had to learn and didn't get there till I was a young adult, which is discipline. Like, you know, the discipline of practice, of commitment to something on that level. You know, sports for me, I loved playing sports, but they came very naturally. You know what I mean? Okay. And there was also like there was also the benchmark, I could see the progression in sports more rapidly because I had a natural proclivity to, you know, to play. Okay. That like I could see myself getting better. I knew when I, you know, versus something like guitar that I picked up, you know, way down the road. Right. Wished I would have put the time in when I was 12 and took some lessons and stuck with it, because I would be playing the kind of, I'd maybe be the kind of player that I would love to be now, you know? Yeah. And didn't get that then. I just didn't get it, man. My focus was all over the place, whether it was girls like we were talking about or any of these other things. My focus was not there, man. And
you was only trying to play guitar to impress the girls, probably. You was like, yo.
You know, maybe that would have been a motivation. Maybe that would have been a motivation. Yeah. You know, and then look, man, you know, as time went on and guitar music wasn't the kind of music I was listening to on a daily basis. You know, I mean, I was listening to hip hop, you know, mostly. You know, I had a little period of listening to some new wave music that some of my boys up in New City put me on to, and I loved it, man. I had a great time listening to some new wave music for a stretch. New wave. And got put on to some bands that, you know, that I'm really grateful that I got into. But once hip hop dominated my life, like, you know, playing guitar, I didn't see the you know, I was still drawn to music. I wanted to learn how to produce. I used to hang out at this producer's house that I knew like all the time with a friend of mine that rhymed, and then I wrote rhymes, but wasn't even like thinking about putting myself out there to rap, you know? Yeah. Until Fat Joe, I didn't even see anybody that made me think like, oh, there's even a place for me in that world, which is stupid.
It was like Pun and
even
Joe.
Before Pun. Yeah, I mean, when Pun came already, when Pun solidified it, you know what I mean? But Joe, Beatnuts, you know, they were the ones that really sort of broke through. A guy named Curious George at that time, talking like early 90s. There were a couple of guys that came out, you know, Mellow Man Ace, you know, back in the day. But I mean, you know, anyway, I'm just saying, like, in my mind, creativity was not going to be the avenue that got me where I thought I wanted to go. Right. You know, I thought that was going to be sports. Mm-hmm. So thought baseball was it. I got injured 2 seasons in a row, man. I was at a scout camp in Florida. I broke a bone in my back, fractured my vertebrae in my back. And
how'd you do that?
It was, man, stupid shit. It was a drill. It was a hip popping drill. You would just like, when your baseball swing, you generate power from your hips, really.
Almost like golf swing.
Yeah. It's all in the hips, man.
Right.
And so I was doing this drill, and I was just putting too much torque in my hips, and I guess my bone, was vulnerable, and it fractured on both sides. I had to wear a brace for like 3 months. It was it sucked.
I know that was devastating.
And then so that was at the scout camp, and unfortunately, it was like 3 days into the camp, so I didn't get to, really go through the motions of having these scouts see me play at my best.
Right.
And and then I played for some coaches in high school that my freshman coach was cool, but the varsity coach was an asshole. I mean, football and baseball. I was just trying to think of a better way to say it.
Yeah, I can see it. You were thinking like, I want to be.
I don't want to go there, but it's like,
he just
when I look back and I you got an opportunity when you got an opportunity to shape young lives,
Mm-hmm.
It's a big responsibility, man. And not everybody's equipped to really do that well.
100%.
And unfortunately, these guys I encountered weren't equipped to do that well. And in all fairness to them, I was the opposite of the kind of person they wanted to coach. You know what I mean? I was very outspoken. I was probably also an asshole on some levels too, and I didn't take shit seriously enough. I wasn't, like I said, disciplined enough,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't put my all into it the way that I needed to if I was going to take it to the next level.
Right.
And to be fair to them, they probably realized that on some level. But I also never had any one of them try to coach me in that way and nurture me in a way to say like, hey man, you're fucking up. Like, you got all the tools, bro. You need to just get a little more discipline, and you're going to be able to get where you want to go. But no one's good enough to get through, or very few people, and you're not one of them, is good enough to get through without doing the work, and for whatever reason I didn't get there. They didn't help me get there in that way, and I was just, I was that guy that like, if they were treating people wrong, I just wasn't gonna stand for it, whether that was me or somebody else, and so I paid a price for that. I didn't get the kind of support that I could have had I handled that in a smarter way for myself, and played the politics of it. But bottom line is, had that injury following year, man, making a play out in the outfield, collided with the other outfielder, tore my rotator cuff, my throwing arm. And so sat out again, supposed to have, played football that year, that would have been my senior year. I was supposed to be quarterback and captain of the team. But this is the type of shit I was up against, right? The coach, I got voted captain for the team, and the coaches wouldn't allow it.
Oh, they really weren't.
Oh no, they were. No, they were against me. It's not that they weren't for me; they were actively against me.
Wow.
And so wouldn't allow me to do that. And then I was like, well then, fuck it, man. I'm just not gonna play. I won't play football. I'll sit out senior year, and I'll make sure that my shoulders, because I didn't want to fuck up my shoulder again. So I was like, I'll sit out and I'll let my shoulder, make sure it doesn't get injured again and whatever. And then I went and watched the first game, and I was like, nah, man, I can't let my senior year go by and not play some football.
We're
so
right
I had
back
to go
out
back
there.
and fucking ask them if they would let me go back on the team, and they made me do all this bullshit to get back on the team, and then didn't even give me the kind of playing time that I should have been getting. But anyway, it's just funny. I mean, going back. I mean, and I'm grateful for all of it, because it all led to this path.
Got you here. Yeah.
So senior year, I'm like, shit, man, I'm fucking off. I'm not taking school seriously. School always came pretty easy to me, but I just was not motivated to work. Again, going back to the discipline aspect.
Right.
I thought baseball was going to take me where I wanted to
I'm
go.
gonna be a baseball player.
School,
yeah.
I mean, I I took honors classes but I just didn't put the work in. I just did whatever I wanted to do to that level, I did. And, you know, beyond that, I was like, my time is my time. And, you know, anyway, graduate high school, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Took a couple of theater arts classes in high school.
Okay.
But I didn't participate in any of the plays or anything. I just was looking for an easy A, man.
Right,
so I took some electives, but I enjoyed the shit out of it. I loved it. Loved it. I had a great time. I was like, oh man, this is right up my alley. Like, you know, because I love being a, you know, class clown, always having something,
charisma,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this feels good though. This is like, man, I feel like this kind of gives me that same feeling I get when I'm playing baseball. You know, like I feel like this is something that excites me and, you know, gives me those butterflies in my stomach.
Right.
You know, the way I feel when it's time to get up to the plate. Like, you know, it's like, I was really enjoying that feeling. And so I was like, cool. And I started taking an acting class outside of school towards the end of that year. And I was just, I guess I didn't even realize it, but I was slowly getting the bug.
Right.
And so I go to community college for about 3 semesters. I'm working a job as a bellman at a hotel, and I'm going to community college, and taking acting classes with this woman who introduces me to some lady that's like, oh, I'll be your manager or whatever. I get headshots done. And so like slowly I'm inching my way into like, you know, this is like sort of like curiosity becoming like a viable avenue to go down, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay. So slowly it's starting to like solidify that, like, man, I'm getting more and more interested in this. So I'm going to community college, and I take another theater arts class there, and I'm doing a monologue in the class one day, and it just hit me. I was just like, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
I was like, this is it.
Cool.
I was like, this is it. I'm like, I really felt that feeling so strongly that I was like, this is what I want to do. This feels, I know I could get excited about this. Right. You know what I mean? Like academia was not my thing. I enjoyed business. I had an interest in business, but it didn't excite me the same way this did. And so, so I knew, and that was the beginning of the journey, man. And then what I also knew is I didn't want to be broke, and so I was like,
what a business to pick.
Right, no shit. So I was like, well, let me get a gig that I can build a nest egg over the next couple of years with.
Okay. While
I study and do all this other stuff, and then and then maybe I can support myself to go out there and really go after it. Right. Right. And so I get a job at a brokerage house, stock brokerage firm. Like
the business side, yeah.
This is the business side of my mind kicking in. I had been in business clubs and shit in high school and done really well in them, you know, in some statewide competitions, like placed, you know, second, third in the state in these certain things.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I decided, like, okay, I'm gonna get a job at this brokerage house. You know, can we blow out that candle?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Actually, if you blow it out, can we just put it outside? Because for some reason, man, I mean, it's actually not that bad, but sometimes candles will set me off, and I just feel my throat starting to dry up. Thanks, man.
I was trying to keep it smelling just fresh.
Nah, no doubt. And it sucks because I like incense, I like candles, but something happened a couple of years ago, and like we show up somebody's house or what, I always feel bad, but I'm like, yeah, could you mind? Because I'll start. It hadn't happened yet.
Okay, but you just know you're. Yeah.
Once it kicks in, I'll be sneezing like nonstop.
Oh, it's like that. Yeah, it's just like the cat thing. Yeah,
kind of like exactly. Yeah. Oh, I was so glad we didn't have cats.
Oh
like
yeah.
Shit. But
eyes itchy.
Yeah. And I like them as animals, man. But I just get I definitely have an allergy. So I get a job at this brokerage firm. I'm 19 years old, and the guy, I go meet the HR guy. I saw an ad in the paper. I go meet the HR guy, and I knew about stocks. I had participated, like I said, in the business clubs. But then there was also this nationwide competition that AT&T used to do. Early 90s, where you got like. It was a mock contest where you got 500 grand, you know, fake money, of course. And you had to call in trades every day. You had to manage an account, and whoever, you know, whoever excelled at managing that account and grew it the most, you know, would place in the country. And for a while, I was leading the thing.
Really?
for a little while, and then baseball season hit, and I just put
was like,
shit
"Ah!"
down. I checked out, completely checked out.
Damn, that's
so-
crazy.
So I knew I had an interest in this, and I knew that I understood how it worked to a certain degree. I had a lot more to learn, but like, anyway, go get a job at this thing, because I'm like, I was just trying to think like, what do I have to offer that I can make money now?
Yeah.
You know, and so this was the thing that I figured I could go after, and get a job at this place, start studying to take these 2 tests that you have to take, your Series 7, your Series 63. And once you get those 2 licenses, then you can actually go and work at a firm and, you know, start working your way up to becoming you know, an advisor or whatever. You're gonna do a whole bunch of bullshit.
The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
It's like boiler room type of shit.
Oh,
like,
boy, yeah. Of course, yeah.
So, but yeah, the early days of Wolf of Wall Street. Exactly.
That's
so
good.
I go out, get this job, start studying to take the test, and about 3 months into studying, I have this epiphany that like, and I'll tell you what it was. I mean, they had a motivational speaker come to the place, and the guy is giving a speech, and there are about, I don't know, 30, 40 people in the office gathered around the space, and there's a guy, he's got a sledgehammer in his hand. He wrote a book called How to Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. I think his name is Dan Levy, maybe. And
is that, they made a movie of that, Swimming with Sharks? Is that
is a different movie.
Okay, I'm making sure.
But yes, they did make a movie about that. I don't think it has anything to do with this guy.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I should watch it. I saw it's Frank Whaley, I think Kevin Spacey. I know the movie. I just can't. I don't think it's about this guy. But anyway, this guy's standing there in the office, and I have a tendency to like not focus on the spectacle when I'm in a crowd, and so my natural inclination is to like look at the crowd
around,
and I'm watching the crowd's reaction to whatever's happening.
Right.
And so I'm looking at this crowd, and I'm seeing all of these people, and they're all, you know, for the most part, middle-aged white men, unhealthy,
Right.
you know, some state of balding or you know, unhealthy in some degree. And they were shit. I mean, probably all younger than I am now, or my age.
Right.
But I remember being 19 and looking at them, and going, this is like 94. I'm like, none of these people look happy. None of these people look like they enjoy what they do. And I'm like, if I start working here and start making some money, and I get my girlfriend pregnant, and I go down some other avenue of life that takes me in a direction where this money becomes necessary, I'm never going to go after this other thing that I know I really want.
Right.
And in that moment, I knew I had to go. And and I remember calling the guy in HR and him being pissed off because he's like, I'm going to look like an asshole. I
vouch for you.
I hired this 19-year-old kid, and now you're going to, walk out. And I'm like, what? It's not like you people spent any money. I had to pay for my own licensing fees and everything else. Like, this is the type of firm it was. It wasn't even like these people laid out any money on my behalf. So I'm like, listen, man, I got to go. And the guy was like, please, just do me a favor. Just take the test. He was like, just do that for me. And I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, sure. I'll take the test, man. But I stopped studying. I took the test. I took it, I very intentionally failed, and called them and was like, yeah, man, I didn't pass. Have a nice life. And I left. But I just knew at that moment, like, whatever it was going to take, I was going to go after this acting thing. And that was the beginning of that journey.
That's amazing.
So I did that. And then I started doing extra work, man. And a guy named Yuli Torero gave me my first non-union extra job.
Wow.
And shout out to Yuli. You still one of my closest friends, you know, all these years later. And his whole family, his brother Jesse, like, these are, you know, and so started doing extra work, getting a taste for that, and just loved it, man, because I got to be on set. I got to see this thing happening. I got to see how it all worked and how the machine moved, and you know, and I didn't mind the long hours and the sitting around, and like none of it, you know, I enjoyed it.
Because you were learning.
Yeah,
you see, and that's another thing. I can tell, even how you say how you watch the crowd, how you look at. You're always looking for what you can learn from a situation. Even if a situation sucks, hey, well, what's going on here? How does this work out? Some people don't see that. Like, sometimes I'll see it's the difference between an extra who's extremely excited to be there because they're looking at, all right, so what's the name of that guy? So he's that's a grip. So what exactly do they do?
And how does this work? And, you know, and watching the flow, watching how people communicated with each other. Also being aware of, you know, not how to not be in the way and how to be helpful versus, you know, a hindrance, you know.
And sometimes people think they're helping and they're hindering.
You know, it's that self-awareness, you know, like, and it was cool, man. And, you know, New York Undercover was the next non-union extra job I got. And then I made some friends there that are still friends of mine to this day. My girl Rahima, another girl named Pashel, another girl named Yvette. And they all worked in the wardrobe department under a guy named Richie Owings, who's a great person too, man. And I met these people doing the non-union day. Wow. And we just sparked. We were all about the same age. Rahim was like a little bit older than me, maybe a year or something. And we were all peers, you know? And so they were like, oh shit, we all thought each other was cool. And like, and then they were like, oh, we're gonna see you back here again. We're gonna see you back here again. And so I had dropped my headshot off at the extras casting. My father knew a Teamster that put in a little word at extras casting for me, you know, just from the neighborhood, because my grandfather had known a Teamster that married this woman from my grandfather's neighborhood. And like, so, you know, just these random connections, which actually a random connection led me to my very first audition and my very first job, my first series.
Wow.
But yeah, so I, you know, a couple months later, I get a call back from New York Undercover to come back as an extra again, but this time they give me a voucher to be a photo double. Okay. And so I end up doing this a couple of times, and in doing it, these friendships solidified to the point where they're like, nah, we got to have you around here all the time. And they went and put the word in at extra from the inside, and then I became a very regularly used. I was the photo double for Michael DiLorenzo, and then when his regular stand-in wasn't showing up, you know, for whatever reason, then I became the stand-in, and that became, you know, semi-regular at a certain point. And so, you know, I got to know all these people, be on this show that I loved watching, right? You know, and it was like the beginning of this journey, and I was like, oh shit, all right, this is cool, you know. And I just knew, I was like, there's more. And then, you know, the girls there actually gave me a police uniform that they had in stock, and then I was able to use that to get more extra work, right? You know,
auditions, all kinds of stuff. Right.
So yeah, just one thing leading to the other. And then after about 2.5 years of doing extra work, I just knew, I was like, I gotta move to LA, man. I gotta move to LA. Right. And one of these other random connections, my father was he had been in the military as a young man, and then joined the reserves when he got out. Okay. And while he was in the reserves, he was friends with a guy that was a New York City detective, but also like a lifelong military guy. Okay. And they you know, they became friends for a while they were there in this thing together, and knew each other well, liked each other. And probably about, you know, going into my third year of doing extra work, I walk in the house when I was coming from work. I forget what, coming from work, wherever it was. And I walk in the door to the house, and my father was like, oh shit, look who's on TV. And he's pointing to this guy, and it's the Emmy Awards, and he's pointing to this guy on stage, and he's like, you remember him? You remember Bill Clark? And I'm like, damn, I don't remember him, you know. Right. And he was like, yeah, you met him when you were a kid. He goes, what the fuck is he doing on stage at the end? Like, my father can't put two and two together. It's this guy he knows from the Army that was a cop. That's all he knows. And now the guy's standing on stage in Hollywood at the Emmys.
Like, you know, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. And my pops loves this shit. Like, he loves, like, you know, anything Hollywood is like, he loves it. You know?
I know he's so proud there. Yeah.
So he's seeing this guy on stage, and he's just like, he's bugging out, man. Yeah. So next thing, on the weekends, this Teamster that had also, you know, taken my headshot to New York Undercover, a guy named Sonny Volpe. My father has breakfast with him and a couple older cats on Sundays. They sit in some diner and they eat eggs and read the paper and talk shit. Right. And they're reading the paper. A couple months later, and there's an article about the same guy, Bill Clark, in the paper. And not a couple months later, a couple weeks later, whatever. And my father says, you know this guy, Sonny? Because Sonny was a big Teamster in New York. He would, you know, he would work on all the productions.
All the shows,
and so he goes, yeah, I know, like a nice guy. I know him, man. And my father goes, any way you could get me the number to this, I got to call him, you know?
Right.
And so Sonny gets him the number. My father calls, gets a hold of Bill. They catch up. They catch up like they didn't skip a beat, you know?
Wow.
And
Real friends.
so
That's
they,
how
you
it
know,
is.
at that time they really did, you know, they were friends, man. And so, and they probably hadn't spoken, I guess, at that point, easily, you know, 12 years, 15 years, maybe since they had spoken. And so my father says, yeah, you know, they catch up. And Bill says, look, I'm leaving New York tomorrow. I won't be able to see you before I leave, but like, well, I'll be back here in a couple of months. If not, you get to LA, let me know. And it so happened that year, my parents' best friend's sons had moved out to LA.
Okay.
And they made a plan for us to all do a Thanksgiving together. So we were going to come out here and do Thanksgiving, you know, all together.
Right.
And my father said, I'll be out there for Thanksgiving or whatever. And so Bill says, call me. My father calls me. We get out here. They set up a dinner. Day after Thanksgiving, 96, we go out to dinner with Bill. And this is a great story. I mean, for me, it's a great story. It's the night my life changed, really. We go to Giorgio Baldi off of Entrada, you know, which even then was like, you know, it was like, you were going to walk in there and it was like, who's
star-studded.
Yeah, star-studded. And so we walk in the door and right away, man, I mean, it was like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell and shit, who else was there? There was some other, I can't remember, Steve Martin, maybe. There was some other big names that were in there. And
that's how the old Madeo was too.
Right.
You would walk in there and it was just
back
like,
in the day, Madeo's, exactly.
There's Chris Rock. There's Wayne
Guaranteed,
Gretzky.
100%. You were going to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit, man, this shit's the real deal, man, you know. And we sit down at the table, and Bill and his wife and my family, and then Bill says, I invited my best friend and his family. So his best friend, his wife, and their 3 kids are there. Best friend comes, sits next to me, and we sit down. We're talking for the whole dinner. Me and this guy just hit it off. We just got into some great conversation. He was, you know, he was curious about my life, and you know, as you can see, I can fucking talk endlessly about myself. So we sit there, and there's like 2.5 hours of conversation, and in the end, I was fucking 20, 21. I was 21. I was just answering the questions that were asked, and you know, maybe not at the level. So at the end, I was like, I mean, I don't know. He was just peppering me with questions. Maybe I never got around to ask him about himself until this point. And I was like, so David, what do you do, man? I know you work on the show, but I don't, you know, what is it that you do? And he says, you know, I helped create the show, and and I produced it, I helped write it. And I'm like, okay, oh shit. Well, I'm like, wow. You know, it's starting to dawn on me shit, this guy is like, he's the guy, you know?
That's awesome.
And it's David Milch. And, you know, who, if you don't know who he is, I mean, he's really just a brilliant writer and a generous man, you know. He actually wrote a memoir that came out about a year or 2 ago. It's beautifully done. You get a chance to read it.
David Milch.
David Milch, yeah. I think it's called This Is My Life, or I can't remember the title of it, but it's really well done. It's great. David,
he worked on Deadwood as well?
Yeah, he created Deadwood.
Oh, I am the biggest Deadwood fan. Okay.
He's a master. He's a master.
He's a master of his craft. I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, and I had that kind of a moment where like it was dawning on me slowly, like, oh shit, like. Right. And so he says, look, you know, are you in SAG? And I'm like, yeah, I had my SAG card, which I had gotten through doing the New York Undercover Extra stuff. You know what? I want to circle back real quick to the New York Undercover Extra stuff. When I got my vouchers and I was able to join the union, I like telling this story because it's just the kindness of people. You know how it sticks with you when at a certain point. I mean, hopefully it always does. But this guy Richie, who was the head of the wardrobe department, when I got my vouchers for SAG, you know, it was probably like $1,100 to join, I think, at the time, and. Yeah, I didn't have that kind of bread at the moment, but I remember I was gonna put it together, but like they were like, you know, he was like, look, we can loan you the money, you know, if you need it. Like that's the kind of love that was there. Wow. It was just, you know, and I haven't seen Richie in 20-something years, man, but like the love is always there.
That's incredible.
That kind of generosity, man. Wow. And it was also those things that were making me realize that, this was the space I wanted to live in. Like,
you were on the right path
with these kinds of people. You know what I mean? People that, you know, that were very different from what I was experiencing, let's just say, in the business world. You know, it was just a different kind of folks that were like, felt very much in tune with the direction I wanted to go in. And so, anyway, David says, look, I'm creating this show called Brooklyn Style. Wait, I don't even know if he told me the title at the time, but I'm creating this show. There's a character, and I think you're right for, you know, do you have a place to stay in LA? And I did. You know, he generously offered me his guest house, and I mean, this man was incredibly generous, man. You know, when I did make the move to LA a few months later, you know, he put me in touch with an acting coach, and he said join that class, and then he just paid for the class, and I come to find out he's paying for several people that are in that class. Like, he would just do incredibly nice things for people. You know, and I learned a lot by, you know, being on the receiving end of that, and then, you know, watching him do it for other people, and you know, it's something that stuck with me that I try to emulate, you know, in my life. But anyway, man, he says, look, if you can stay out here for a little bit. I stayed out here. He gave me a one-liner on NYPD Blues. Like, I want to see you on camera. Right. Gave me a one-liner on NYPD Blues. My first words I ever spoke on camera.
Amazing.
Yeah, in the corner were the 3 words. In the corner.
In the corner.
Yeah, I had a stare off with Jimmy Smits, and I'm like, you know, I'm holding some boxes, and I'm like, in the corner, and he's like, yeah, in the corner's fine or whatever, and I go and I put the thing in, and we have a stare down, and then I walk away. So I have that moment. I pack my shit when I get back to New York, and I come out end of January to start pilot season. You know, and I don't even know what the fuck pilot season is really
anymore. But
no, I don't even know what it was. Even then, I knew what it was, but I didn't really get it yet because I didn't even have an agent, man. I came out here, I had a commercial agent in New York, but I did not have a theatrical agent that was going to represent me for film and television out here. So came out here, and I basically like moved out here with all my hopes and dreams pinned on this audition that David said, you know, they were going to bring me in for. And you know, I come out, I let Bill know that I'm living out here and I'm ready whenever he is. And, you know, and I hit, you know, I got out here, hit a little bit of a rough patch in terms of housing. And, you know, I had a few weeks where I was like, you know, just not sure where I was going to sleep every night, you know. And, it wasn't that long. It was, you know, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month, maybe at the longest, but it was like
that feels very long when you're in it.
When you're in it, man, it felt like a fucking eternity. Long time. And so in the midst of that, I get a call. I call Bill to check in because, you know, Bill's a friend of mine now. At that time, I was a kid still. And, you know, I'm like calling this older man that I didn't know well. And like, you know, I didn't want to bother the guy. So I call him and I'm like, hey, you know, I just want to check in and see where. And he's like, oh, man, you know, it looks like that character's not going to be in the pilot. So we probably wouldn't even bring you in until July. And I'm like, shit, and this is like February. I'm like, July seems like fucking 2092, you know, at that point in time. I'm like, oh, shit, man. So, you know, but then there was some turn of events. Something happened. But I had that acting class. Really, I got to say, that acting class kept me really in a good headspace because it was somewhere to go every week, somewhere to be, something to commit to, something to do. People
don't get that with acting, where it's just like, it's one of those things where if you're not doing something like that, or you don't have something else that you do to, you're waiting, you're just sitting around waiting on a call, you know, and it's, you need something that gives you some kind of structure. Something to just get that out of you. Like, you know, it's like, you know, I didn't play music at the time. I didn't, you know, I didn't have other things that were this outlet for that. And that outlet and that community of people that were also about that were all crucial, man. I mean, crucial to my sanity at that time, you know? And so, yeah, man, David just has done more for me than he could ever know, and Bill as well. But, you know, and I love that my pops is involved in that story. You know, amazing, like I love that he has, you know, such a big part of setting that off in the way that it was, very, you know, naturally, like organic, you know, very organic. That he had a good relationship with this guy, and this guy remembered my dad as a good guy enough that he was like, let's see what, you know, if I can, you know, help you out with your son. You know, and but that's that stuff, like you said, you watch that from afar, and you watch that from afar, and you go, "Oh, those things matter,
big time.
Those things
and
really
when you can
matter.
do them for other people, you take the time to do them. You know, you must. And so, yeah, man. So turn of events, the audition ends up happening. I go in, I do it. It's my first big audition, you know, like, and people in the room and all of it, and I do it, and I don't know, I have no context, man. You know, I've never done this before, so I walk out of the room, and all I know is I'm beating myself up, like, fuck, was it good? Was it bad? I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm like, all right, and well, let's see if I hear back. You know, a week goes by, 10 days goes by, I don't hear anything. I don't want to bother Bill, especially if I'm not gonna get it. I don't want to put him on the spot, and like, I'm like, fuck, man. And then the more time that goes by, the more it's like,
should I call him real quick?
Yeah. Or like, yeah, it's over. Like, you know, the first week I'm like, oh, maybe they're just, by day 10, I was like, man, this shit ain't happening. Like, I haven't heard a peep, I'm like, and I don't have an agent. So I don't even know,
so they're not even calling, like, put a pin in them for,
I have no idea where any of this is at in the process, right? So all I'm doing is reliving this audition in my head daily, hourly,
and probably inaccurately, because
either way,
in the zone.
What I kept doing was reliving it, and by reliving it, I wasn't just reliving my exit, I was reliving the entire thing. So I was reciting the lines, I continued rehearsing this scene in the way that I think maybe it should go or shouldn't go. So I kept living it, and then I finally realized, like, all right, I gotta let this shit go. It's not gonna happen. And having dinner at a restaurant that used to be on Melrose called Georgia's back in the day. It was a soul food restaurant, and it was really at that time when Black Hollywood was very robust. This was the spot, Georgia's. And it was owned by a guy named Brad Johnson and Norm Nixon, and I think Denzel was an owner in it. It was like the creme de la creme of Black Hollywood that was at this spot all the time.
That's crazy.
And
George's restaurant.
I had a real close family friend, man. My girlfriend at the time, her father was friends with Brad, and he reached out to Brad and just said, hey, man, this kid's moving out there. Still look after him. He's going to come by and see you, Right. And so I went by the restaurant when I first moved out there. And this was one of the other things that was like a saving grace, man, because I knew two people out here when I moved here. And they were both, busy with their own lives. And I mean, one of them is one of my best friends, but he was focused on, on building his career at the time. So I go see Brad at Georgia's when I move out here, and he just couldn't have been better to me, man. I got dressed up. This was back in the day, man. This is before really hip hop hit in the way that people were wearing baseball caps and sneakers everywhere. This was not that time. This was like, so I'm talking like early 97, January, February 97.
People still wearing Abercrombie shirts.
Still, people wore slacks and shoes. Like, if you went to this spot, I don't care where you were coming from.
Right.
That's if you wanted to go and be there, like, I mean, look, you looked fly on some level. It wasn't.
It's how Justin's even was in New York. Like, it was like, you still had to like, you had to get done up. You had to look nice. Right. You know what I mean? Right. You weren't coming from anywhere, hanging and then going there. That was the destination. Right.
You know what I mean?
You had a reservation
at that moment. know, and so, yeah, man, Brad would just take care of me, man. I'd go in there, once a week I would show up, feed me, take care of me at the bar. Obviously, I never overdid it, but I ended up meeting great people, having a great time there, and it also helped me build a community when I first moved down. I just had at least one place that I knew I could go socialize. And
also without the LA bullshit of like you can't get in or the
and what was incredible is that it was one of the spots. So it was like I was going in and getting love at one of the spots. Brad introduced me to Denzel and Wesley at that time, and like and it was like I was feeling great, man. I was feeling great. Felt like I belonged. Which felt right. Which felt like I should. And so I love Brad for that, man. And I always appreciate Bill for making that call, Bill Underwood. So anyway, and I say that not to be confused with Bill Clark, the other guy, And so anyway, man, I'm going to have dinner at Georgia's, and I see Brad, and Brad is there with a bunch of people that are all doing their thing, you know, because they're older than me. I'm 21 at the time, and they're all success, you know, on to other levels of success in their profession. It's about 10 people at the table. Everybody's just sharing what they've been up to, and comes around to me, and Brad's like, "Tell her, what have you been up to, Adam? What's been going on?" I'm like, "Man, you know, man, I haven't said a word to anybody about this, but I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag now because it ain't gonna happen." I'm like, I had this audition for a Stephen Bochco pilot, and I think I blew it, man. And I've just been like, thought maybe they were gonna call, but it's been about 10 days. I haven't heard anything. But, you know, I think and they're like, "Ah, shit," but yeah, you learned something. Everybody's being positive, and I swear to God, Maestro, like 5 minutes later, my pager goes off. Okay, and this is how long ago this was. This was pager payphone days. Okay, so you know.
Ran to a payphone.
Yeah. So, and there was one right there, right near where we were, the table we were eating at was. It was crazy. Places had payphones in them, man. And I go to the payphone. I saw the number. I knew the number was from the Fox lot because I remembered the exchange was the 310-369 number. And I go to to this day, and I go to the payphone. Dial a number. Hey, it was a guy named Scott Jenkins, who was the casting director, and he's like, "Hey, Adam, can you come in for a callback tomorrow with Stephen Bochco?" And I lit up. I was like, "Yeah, of course, I'll be there." And you know, so all of this time I've been going over the audition. You know, the material had sunk in a different way, man. And
Completely.
I go in the next day. I have this audition, and I get done, and they're clapping for me in the room. And I was like, fuck, I felt incredible, man. I mean, I was on such a high. And I was on such a high because I felt like whether I get the job or not, like I felt like, damn, I feel like I could get it.
Right.
But whether I get it or not, I did my best. Like I gave a great performance and I left an impression. You know, I'm like, this is the feeling I was after. So I walk out of the room. I'm walking out of the building on the Fox lot, and I was the last one to go.
Right.
It was like, I don't know how many people that day, maybe 15 people, 20 people. Probably less, like 10, 15 people, because it was like a final callback, which I didn't know what the fuck that was at the time. So I'm leaving the Fox lot, and I hear the same casting director come up, "Hey, Adam, can you come back for a minute?" And I go back in the room. He brings me into the casting director's room. He's like, "Just wait here for a second." Junie Lowry Johnson walks in.
Okay.
And she goes, "Hey, you got it. You got the job." And man, I lit up. I remember running to another payphone on the lot there, calling my mother, and she was a ticket agent at the airlines. And I called her, I said, "You got a lot of people online?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's very busy here right now." You know, I was like, "Great." I was like, "I just called to tell you I booked a TV show. I'm gonna be a regular on a TV show." And like, you know, and my mom was not in support of me being an actor. Like, this was not something she was excited about. My father was actually. My mother was, you know, I'm not quite against it, but
get a real job type deal.
But in no way was she for it,
right?
You know, and so, you know, it felt good to be able to tell her, like, all right, look, I'm on my way, and I'd only been out here like 3 months at the time, man.
That's what I mean,
incredible.
Bro.
It doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? So,
no.
Incredible.
Especially not in that era. Like at least nowadays, at least it's like, oh, you're big on the internet. You might come out here and make some.
Right.
Yeah, but in that era, it was like, no, you're building from square one. That's
so.
Incredible.
Yeah, that led to my first job, Brooklyn South. It was a uniform cop show on CBS, and got to work with some great people on that show, man. Great people.
So cool, man. And how many episodes of that did you end up doing?
I think we did 20. I think we did 22 episodes.
Okay.
You know, 20 or 22 episodes. I don't know if we did 22, but it's 20 or 22 episodes.
In one season?
That show. Full season. We did a full season.
Okay.
You know, Bochco was the man at that time, and he had a guaranteed pickup. So the beauty of getting that pilot was like we were on the air. Like,
no matter what,
I got a series. Like, I didn't get a pilot.
Yeah.
I booked the series, which I didn't even get the significance of that at that moment, you know?
Yeah. 20 checks later, though, you did.
Yeah, man.
Them pilots, you know, it could just...
yeah, so that was, you know, and again, man, the work for Milch and with Milch and the great cast that we had on that show. I love all those people to this day, you know? I mean, I was really like... You know, I was the youngest one in the cast, and I was, you know, surrounded by all these good people, good actors, doing good work, and And I still keep in touch with several of them to this day.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Damn. So you went from there, and then what was like your next big? Because when I was going through, like I was telling you out there, when I was going through just your IMDb, I'm like, not only have you done a lot of stuff, you've done a lot of just like cool shit. Like, first off, you're in the 50 Cent Many Men video. Like, what? And as we know, that song has made a resurgence recently.
Man, it's unbelievable, man.
But I'm like,
I love
wait a
that.
minute.
I still love that song. I loved it then, love it now. Like that song, yeah, that's a classic.
And
man.
when I went back and I'm
Classic.
watching it, I'm laughing because I'm like, wow, this is like a little mini movie.
That's
in
what
the
it was,
video,
yeah.
and 50,
yeah,
we see what he's doing now,
no,
and it's just like,
incredible.
oh, he's
It's incredible, man. No, it's incredible. So that video, and this life is funny, right? Like I ended up doing that video because, and this is a time, by the way, when like doing music videos, like a lot of people were doing them, but it was like a fine line. Like some people were like, "Oh, you're an actor. Why are you doing a music video?" And I did a couple of them, but there was a slight stigma at that point.
Yeah, I saw you did the J-Lo one.
The J-Lo video, yeah, and there were a couple that I didn't do.
Right.
That in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have, man.
Right. I feel you.
There were a couple that I was like, nah, I can't do that. I can't, cause like,
I'm an actor.
I'm
Yeah,
an
type
actor,
deal,
like,
yeah.
or I wasn't feeling the song, but the song was a monster hit, like, but Many Men came along because the director is my boy. This is my brother, Jesse Terrero.
Oh, okay.
He is brothers with Yuli that I mentioned earlier in the interview, gave me my first extra job.
Oh, shit.
So Jesse and I moved out here at the same time. And, so Jesse was an actor at that time. He had a guest part on Brooklyn South on the pilot. And we reconnected there.
Wow.
Because I only knew him like, hey, what's up? I knew his brother better than I knew him. And he ended up and we knew each other a little bit. We had run into each other a couple of times out here in LA. When we first moved out here, we both run into each other at hip hop clubs because there weren't many of them at that time. And then there definitely weren't many Latin dudes at them, because that migration of, New York Latino hadn't really come west in a big way yet. There were people out here, don't get me wrong,
Yeah, but
but it wasn't, and they weren't, the people that were out here weren't of the hip hop generation necessarily. Right. So we were sort of that first, migration of New York Latinos that were moving out here that, that was our scene. Like that was very natural environment for us. That felt like home, was to be there. And so we'd run into each other there, and Jesse went on to become a director. And 50 is somebody he linked up with early on in his career. And he really, if you look at his career, I mean, early on in 50's career, he did, the majority of 50's music videos. Okay. And so Many Men, I can't remember if Many Men was the first one. No, I think he did Wankster. He did Wankster. Oh, wow. Oh, so Jesse directed Wankster. And then Many Men came out, and he wanted to make it something cinematic because the song had that feel to it. And I was already playing a cop on a cop show. I was doing CSI Miami when that came out. And my boy Rory, that's in the video with me, and Jesse knew us both and was like, like I said, Jesse's my brother. He was like, yo, would you do it? And he knew Rory through me, and Rory loved the song too. So he was like, yo, I'll do it. Other boy Henry Simmons was in it. So, they got, they got some people that, it was a family affair, man. And,
that's so legendary.
And it's just funny the things you do and you just don't know what's gonna be a classic. Like what's gonna, that J-Lo video. Who the hell knew that was gonna be around for the next? People still love that song. That song was a monster hit. Monster hit.
That's wild.
And funny, man, just funny how it rolls out. Yeah.
No, but just okay. So I remember I saw in there you did the Will I Am, the Yes We Can for the
that was a moment in time.
That's what I'm saying.
Cool,
like
man.
These are distinct moments. Then not to mention I was looking at you hit all the shows too that were iconic. Like even if it was one episode, you did Roswell, you did 6 Feet Under, you did Psych, you did Ugly. Like it's just like, bro, like you're in I Can Do Bad All by Myself. It's just there's so many people who only get to hit one lane, and they only, and it's like, hey, it's like, but no, you've been able to hit, you've played the cops, you've done, but you've also have just hit so many other No,
it's nice to hear that because you forget sometimes, even, sometimes I'm like, I'm known for mostly playing a cop, and these other little things that I've had a chance to do to challenge myself in other ways or see what other aspects of myself I can bring out and do something different Ugly Betty was one of the things that that was one of my favorite characters that I ever got a chance.
What kind of character?
To create. He was sort of like a neighborhood guy, but like, something you'd see Bobby Cannavale get cast to play maybe now in a way.
Bobby Cannavale.
Bobby Cannavale, you know him when you see him, man. Great actor. He's a great actor. But he was sort of like a neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
He's like a neighborhood guy that was very relatable. Maybe not smart in all the ways people might judge him for not being smart in, but real smart in the ways that other people aren't smart.
Yeah, he real street smart. He knows
street smart, kind though, even though he might have come off as somebody that, wasn't totally, a sweetheart, but actually was, which I love, man. Those are the people that I've always gravitated towards, man. The people that are assumed to be one thing, but are actually another, and most people don't give them a chance to be that, And I think I get that from my mother, man. My mother was always drawn to people like that, and
it takes an eye.
Yeah,
it takes an eye, and it takes an eye, or it takes some real listening and understanding, giving someone the actual chance.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I've just, it's amazing. Like, it's just, you don't see resumes like this, man.
It's great to hear, because there's part of me that's like, man, I haven't really gotten a chance to spread my wings, and I'm not mad, because I've had such a great time doing what I've done.
You just want more challenges.
More challenges. That's all. That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. More challenges, So I look forward to those down the road, man. Criminal Minds, which is what I'm doing right now. I love doing the show. I love the people I work with. That's amazing, it's a great place to go.
And
to
you
work
guys have been
day.
How many seasons now?
I joined that show late in the game. I joined that show in 2016. That show started in 2005, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. And I came in.
But CSI Miami was the same. I was like,
we had a good run there.
221 episodes. I'm like, this man working. That's beautiful.
We did that
man.
for 10 years, man. We did that for 10 years.
Amazing.
Criminal Minds were probably, for me, they're into the, man, I think they're over 350 episodes. I think I've been there for probably 80, 90.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's some nice numbers though, brother. Man,
I could not be more grateful, man. I'm telling you, to me, it's been, in terms of just the perfect job at this point in my life, especially, it's amazing.
Yeah, procedure, and that's, as that is. Every actor who comes to this town, they would love to land on one of them procedurals, brother, because they know, and it worked. It's a procedural, and if they're ran right, they work like procedural. So what time you're gonna be home. You know what time
you can have a life.
You can have a life.
Which for me right now is absolutely perfect. So I get to really focus on my family, still have an incredible job, working with incredible people that I like being around every day. At this moment in time for me, that just checks every single box. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we were talking about it out here, but I wanted to just discuss how we were discussing just Latino representation, and you made a point, and it was funny because it caught me off guard, because you were like, you was like, you don't see a ton of Latin leading men, and I was like, damn. And I was like, the first person I thought of was Antonio Banderas. And I'm like, damn, the fact that I went there first, you're like, wow.
And even there, right? I'll break that down even further, quite honestly. Like, what you don't see, or what you see even more rarely, are American Latino leading men. You see Antonio Banderas, you see Javier Bardem.
Right.
And these guys are incredible, man. Incredible talents, and from Brief Encounters,
No Country is one of my favorite movies.
Good people too, but incredible talents. Yeah. But you don't see any guys like me really that are leading either television shows or movies. You got Benicio, and and again, not many that can open a movie. And the only way that those kinds of stars, if you will, because to open a movie, it's what you got to be, is you can't, you can be a great actor, but you got to also have whatever that star quality is, but that has to be created, because there's a machine that creates the star.
100%.
You got to have the tools, but the machine creates that.
100%.
And
they put it to the masses. You have the tools, we'll make them aware. That's really what it is.
There it is.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure that you're positioned so people can be aware.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, they have to build that audience for you, and they know once they do, if that audience will keep coming back if you can deliver the goods. But it has to be nurtured, and it's got to be developed, and you know, and there's got to be money put behind it, you know, and you don't see it on any level really happening in the Latino space, you know.
And that's so odd, because you would think if people were smart, but we have the same problem obviously a lot of times even with African American actors, but you would think we see what Hispanic artists do, we see what Latin artists do in music.
The music broke
people
through,
will
and
get behind it.
maybe you know, maybe there's a change coming, you know, maybe you know, I don't know that I'm gonna catch that in my prime, you know, but maybe that change is coming. I'm hoping that it will, you know, because look, music does lead the way, right? Music as a format is, you know, far less expensive to produce, and you know, and create. You know, it is a much smaller production to get a piece of music put out in the world than it is a movie.
When I was making all my music, doing all my stuff, bro, I made the beats, I recorded myself. That's it. I did that. So I'm
now
like,
with Sonos and all these channels for distribution, it's like, you know, all you gotta do is make it. You can get it put out there. Now, building an audience, that's gonna be up to you. You're gonna have to hit social. You're gonna have to do all the things you're gonna have to do to market that. But like, you know,
making the product is crazy.
So, you know, look, film, much more expensive endeavor. Much bigger roll of the dice.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And so many people. You need at least a minimum of 15 people working together to make a movie. At least. Easily. Like,
you know,
and that's barely including actors, if we're being real.
And that is like a miracle movie.
It's a miracle movie. That's like a set you honestly don't want to be on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work. Yeah, there's a lot of work,
you know, and you still got to get somebody to finance that, because it's not the kind of financing that 15 people are going to get together and be able to afford.
Right.
On average.
Yeah.
So, you know, the threshold, the bar to creating, to actually producing something, you know, that wants to be created, it's a much bigger mountain to climb. And so we need people to invest in that and develop it. You know, look, progress is, you know, change is slow, man. It's fast, but it's slow. You know, the lead up is slow, and when it happens, it seemes fast. You know,
it gets moving,
so. You know, we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, it trips me out sometimes, you know, when you look at it. And I've had an incredible career, man. But, you know, funny enough, working 27 years in the business, and yeah, up to now, have not led my own television show.
Right.
You know, which you know, look, fortunately, I've been very busy, and so there hasn't been a lot of windows of time where I was available for certain things, but enough that I knew that I could tell you straight up, people weren't banging down my door.
Yeah.
Hey, we got this, we got that. I mean, crickets, you know. I mean, yeah, we got a number 2, a number 3, a number 4 on this show, you know. Yeah. But not a lead, you know, not to carry a show. And you just go like, yeah, okay, you know, you don't know what people feel like they need to, you know, to get behind, but it's interesting is all I'm saying. Observationally, like completely objectively, I'm just like, wow, it's interesting. Like
you said, sit back and you pay attention. You ain't got look. Well, I know it's not a lie. Is what this is. I'm just paying attention.
That's all. Yeah. Listen. I love my life, man.
Listen.
And that you gotta separate from everything else. Because if I attached, there was a point in time I'm living, and my career is determining the level of happiness I have in my life, and then you wake up and you realize like, oh shit, wait a minute, man. My career, I love it, but it's not my sole source of fulfillment. Like, you know, that's not it, you know, and when you separate those two things and start finding the other things that are giving you that feeling, that's, you know, there's freedom in that, man. There's freedom in that.
Well, listen, brother, thank you so much for coming through.
Pleasure, man.
This was incredible.
We circled around a lot of shit. I know.
We didn't even get into fucking just really quickly. Magic Mike, what was that like?
Oh, man, one of the greatest working experiences I've had in my career. I mean, look, man, what a thrill to be faced with that challenge, right? No matter who was going to direct it, like to all of a sudden have to get in the best shape of your life.
What was the workouts like?
Learn to dance. The workouts were intense. I mean, you know, that first movie, you know, I only had about 6 weeks to get ready. We got the call. The way that all went down, I worked with Chan on an episode of CSI Miami. Chan did a guest spot on an episode of CSI Miami on like the second season, maybe.
You've worked with everybody because of that show, I'm sure.
Oh shit, a lot of people.
Everybody
came through.
coming up,
lot of people, lot of people, man. Some that popped like Chan, Chris Pine came through.
Shit.
I'm sure there's some that I'm forgetting, but there were a lot of people that came through and then had some real careers after.
Wow.
But Chan had done a guest spot on it, and at that point in his career, that guest spot was a big deal for him. It was a big deal, and I didn't know that. He was just this kid working on the show, and I thought he was cool as shit. We sat there. We had a scene that we did together. We were probably there 3-4 hours, sitting on a dock. I remember it was like out in the water in Miami, and we were just chopping it up the whole time. And I was like, oh shit, this kid's cool, man. He was cool. He was just a cool dude, you know. We did the scene, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, he starts popping up. I see his face on posters like Step Up, and then it was G.I. Joe. And I'm like, good for this guy, man. Good for this guy, man. He was cool. I'm happy to see him succeed, because I remember, you know, he left a good feeling. Right. Cut to however many years later, 7-8 years later, you know, whatever it was. I get a call. I get the script. My manager calls, who I've been with for like 25 years now, and he calls and says, I got this script. It's a Steven Soderbergh movie. You're gonna be playing a male stripper. I went through the script. There are no lines for you. You know, there's very few lines. Right. I don't know. Do you really want to? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like. Yeah, you're my manager, and you're asking me like if I wanted. I'm like, are you crazy? Of course, it's fucking Steven Soderbergh, right? I'm like,
it's an offer.
It's an offer, but it's Steven Soderbergh. I'm like, I'll go fucking sit and just carry his fucking, you know, whatever director bag, you know. I mean, because I want to watch this guy work. Yeah, you know, I don't know him as a person, but I like his movies. I know I can tell you for sure he's the most. You know, high-level director I've had an opportunity to work with at that point in time, you know, and even to now, I mean, Steven's a master. He's a master craftsman. He's a master. He's a master. Yeah, he's a master and a cool dude, man. So I'm like, I'm in on this fucking thing. What are you talking about? And then I get a call from Chan, and he's like, hey, man, starts a phone call, and I forget. He's like, I don't know if you remember me. And I was like, I was like, nah, bro. I said, I remember you well, man. I was like, and the fact that you're starting the phone call off that way after the ride you're on right now, I was like, I know you're the same person I met that day. I was like, it's good to talk to you again. You know, he's like, well, we're doing this movie because him and Steven basically financed that first movie. Right. So
because it's based on his life, like loosely
based on his life, and they had this thought to do it, and they decided to self-finance. You know, and then Warner Brothers came in at the end to buy in and then do the distribution. And
they said, "Oh, you got a movie? Hey!"
You could see something special was happening. Right. They came to visit set. We all knew something was happening. You know, there was some magic there, you know, pun intended, but there really was. I mean, and so I'm like, he was like, "Yeah, no, if you want." Jump on and do this movie with us. I'm like, I'm in, man. I'm like, this shit puts butterflies in my stomach. I'm like, the idea that I'm gonna have to be in a fucking G-string and the challenge of getting in incredible shape right now, which I was not in great shape at the moment of that phone call, you know. And so yeah, man, I flipped the switch that day, turned it on, and literally got to work. Wow. I had 6 weeks to get in shape and just did everything I could to be in the best shape of my life. I did not want to show up on that set.
That's
and be the weak link. No, you know, I mean, I had A-list players. McConaughey was doing it. You know, Steven Soderbergh directing. Right. Chan's a star now. Like I knew like this was gonna be an opportunity to be seen. Right. You know, in a way that. You know, on film in a way that I had never had a chance to before. Mm-hmm. You know, I had done I Can Do Bad All By Myself the year before. But you know, this was a different. It's a different challenge, man. Yeah. Just a different challenge. Like getting in that kind of shape and then being on screen with all these guys that, you know, had careers. I was like, I need to show up and be my best. And here's a chance to do that. Here's a chance to play with who people are perceiving to be special right now. And you can go ahead and do your best to shine. And, you know, and I went in and that's what I did, man. I went to work and I just tried to bring everything I could to the character when I had a chance to be on camera, which you know.
And it was in all 3 movies, right?
Yeah, the third one we all did a bit. We had a cameo in the third one.
Okay.
Yeah, we all did a Zoom call that we were all on, but we weren't. Yeah, we weren't heavy in the third one, unfortunately. I wish we were, man. I really do, because every time getting that group together it's a good group. It's a good group.
I
of people,
can only
man.
imagine.
Yeah.
Amazing,
You know, and I mean, you know, as a result of that, Chan and I became close, and I met, you know, a guy on there that's become one of my closest friends over the years, a guy named Kevin Nash.
Okay.
Who was ex-pro wrestler.
Oh, wow.
You know, yeah, and just, you know, just one of my favorite people, man. You know, yeah. So that movie on so many levels, man. You know, developed a friendship with Steven and everybody. I mean, there's just a great. Whenever I run into anybody that was on any of those movies, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling, man.
Damn. That's cool.
So that was an incredible job, man. I really had a great time doing those, and they changed my life in the way that I ate and trained, and they just really set me on a new course in terms of
gave you knowledge that you didn't have to go pay for yourself and go. That's
man.
We know trainers and all nutritionists that adds up big time.
For sure, but I had to dig in on all that because I realized like a big part of being able to get in shape that fast was it's all about diet. You know, so I changed my diet in ways that you know, I don't know that I ever would have got around to doing that soon in my life. Yeah. And it's allowed me to maintain a level of fitness now that I enjoy, that I love. Yeah. You know, really set me on that path, which I'm grateful for. Yeah.
Well, bro, this has been an incredible interview. Like, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for taking the time.
No, my pleasure, man. You know, man, we haven't gotten to spend much time over the years, but every time I see him, I'm always like,
you know what?
Maestro's cool. I got mad love for Maestro.
Before we get out of here. And I'm so happy you said that. And the last time we were together,
oh shit, man.
Yep.
That was at Rose Day. That was the last time I ever saw Michael, man.
Bro, same.
That was the last time I ever saw him, man.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, we did a movie together. First time I met him. We did a movie together. Damn, man, you gotta send me that picture.
No, I will. I literally went and found it because I was like, I know I have this pic of us, man.
Yeah, man.
And that was a hell of a day. That was a
great day, man. That was a great day. That was a great day. Dude, man, we did an indie movie together, probably like in let's say it was like January of 08. It was like right at the end of the last actor strike or the last. The last strike that we had, we did this indie that had already been written or whatever. They had sanctions to do it, and we did it in New York. Okay. And it was called Kiss of Chaos.
Kiss of Chaos.
That was the name of it, man. Yeah, that's the trip, man.
Yeah,
man.
I'm glad I remember to share that, man.
What a talent. But so funny, actually, my cousin, she just did a movie that he was in called Brown Dog, and it's his voice. It's the last thing he ever did.
Oh, wow.
It's a short film.
That's dope.
That she just had it premiered at Tribeca, actually. Wow. It's called Brown Dog, and it's a great, man. It's a great short. It's animated, and Michael voices it. Michael voices it, and then Steve Buscemi voices another character in it.
Oh, that's great.
It's really great. Well. It's great. I'm proud of her.
I'm excited to see her.
Yeah, she's a documentary filmmaker, and now she's getting into narrative, and that was a project her and her partner did. But talking about family, man, that was a trip. I had a cousin like 6 years ago, and she's this really successful documentary filmmaker. She did the Becoming, the Michelle Obama documentary.
She's really doing it.
She's got something coming out now. A series about the K-pop band BTS that's about to come out, I guess, in the next few months. But
wow,
she did a doc. She did a doc about Ben Crump. She's super talented.
She's
man.
crushing it.
Yeah, she's crushing it. But that was, you know, Michael. I guess, you know, it's funny you brought that up.
Yeah,
because I just saw that short maybe like a month ago.
But yeah, brother.
Yeah, man. Fuck.
Yeah, crazy world. But
that's great.
Thank you, bro.
Man, my pleasure, bro. My pleasure.
And we out.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.